Well, welcome, College of Eastern Idaho. It's Friday, May 21st. We didn't do one of these last week, and of course, last week was graduation, but we are going to have a wonderful discussion today with Mario Hernandez, and I think a lot of you know him. So he is the president of Teton Auto Group, and he has just got the most fascinating background and has been deeply involved in the community in a whole bunch of ways that we'll get into. So we have 45 minutes with you, and it's going to be a delight. You've been right from the beginning, a great supporter of ITech and then our transition to the college. You were kind of on an advisory committee for this. You've got a lot to be proud of. I can only think of about 3 or 4 individuals who didn't vote for the college. A number didn't, but they don't admit to it anymore.
That's right.
But that's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a fun project.
Well, thank you. And again, I think having your status behind the initiative carried a lot of weight and helped us get that across the finish line. But Mario, one of the things I love to do is just let our guests do a little bit of a background and
Okay.
kind of tell me about your background and where you came from.
Well, I was born and raised right here in southeastern Idaho, Pocatello.
Yep.
My family, there was 5 of us kids, 2 older sisters, 2 younger brothers. My father came to the United States from Mexico when he was 6 years old, legally,
Yep.
With a green card with his parents. My mom was from northern Utah. I grew up on a dry farm there. They settled in Pocatello. They met there and settled there. And my dad was a migrant farm worker. He worked crop rotation, picked cotton in Texas and tomatoes and topped corn in Illinois. And then they worked their way up here to Idaho and worked thin beets, and then on to Washington. They cut asparagus and topped onions, and then they come back here for the potato harvest, and then went back to Mexico after he met my mom, and they fell in love. They decided to settle here in eastern Idaho and start a family, and then my dad's family stayed and settled with him, so they were no longer migrants. They were regular workers, and he got a welding certificate.
Yes.
And entered into the workforce that way, and he did it correspondence back then. Through the mail, and then he went to a school in Chicago where he got his hand-on certification and got a certificate, became a welder, and worked at Partner Steel in Pocatello for 25 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is the classic story of College of Eastern Idaho. That's exactly who we're after. And I've heard you tell this a couple of times, and it just kind of reminds me what it is we're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's his success. He became a better and better welder, and then was a shop foreman, and then the shop superintendent. Like I said, 25-year career with Partner Steel.
Well, then, okay, so I think we all know, or most people know you and understand Teton Toyota, and that is a very broad business. Volkswagen, Ford. In fact, why don't you describe how broad that is, and maybe before you do that, how'd you get into this line of work?
Well, I started when I got out of high school. College wasn't really talked about with my family, and not that they were against it. It just wasn't a subject of conversation. So I went into business. I worked for a Woolworth company for a number of years. I went into their management training program. They taught me basics of accounting and inventory management and selling and those kind of things. So I went into that program, and it was a real hands-on program, much like what you guys teach here now.
Exactly.
So, and then I left Kinney Shoes and went to work for Prudential Insurance. And I worked for Prudential Insurance for 7 years, and then Liberty Mutual Insurance for 9 years. So I spent 16 years in the insurance industry, and I got approached by a friend of mine, Jim Parker, and he said, hey, the Toyota store is available in Idaho Falls. I'd like a partner, and you're from Eastern Idaho, and So we went in together as partners, and we bought the what was then Rocky Mountain Toyota. Closed on it April 1st of 2005, and took off running. And I got to use a lot of my management background and sales background in retail automotive. So we started with a single point dealership there, and as we had some success and grew, we added Volkswagen in 2012, and I bought my partner out that year, and then we had the opportunity to pick up some additional stores. We went to Pocatello, and we have Teton Honda there. Winnemucca, Nevada, we added about 3 years, a little over 3 years ago, Ford dealership there. And then Toyota really likes us, so we were able to pick up another Toyota and a Honda in the Dalles, Oregon. And each of those outlying stores, I have a long-term employee who's a partner with me, and they have the opportunity to buy me out in those stores. My family's become more involved over the years locally, and helped with that. My daughter Crystal runs and started our auto credit business here and works across the group now. My son-in-law Travis is the general manager at Teton Toyota, and then my brother and other son Anthony, my brother Dave and Anthony run the Volkswagen store, and I work on the platform. And we just recently announced we're adding another Toyota dealership in Colville, Washington.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful.
So we're doing that, and we're just looking at opportunities that fit where we want to be at. We like the mid-size and small markets. Where we can get to know and have a relationship with our customers and our employees.
And we'll get into this, but I know a couple of our students actually are working there, and they are so complimentary of the culture. Let's call it that at Teton Auto Group. So maybe before we even get into the details of what happens there, because again, we've been deeply involved with you since iTech, but when you start a company like that, and this is a classic story of just starting off with one dealership, and it's expanded to multi-state. How does that culture work? This all comes from the top, so it is your vision that you've hired the right people, but what's the culture? How did you create that?
We're a principle-based company. We have a set of principles that we go by and we insist on from all of our employees. It's not just a mantra. We use it in our recruiting, in our day-to-day operations, and those principles and beliefs were put together by Jim and I, and our management team has continued to perpetuate those over the years. And, we really value the relationship we have with our employees. We have a profit sharing program. We have, of course, regular 401k with a match. We have a number of benefits that speak to that. We have a college tuition reimbursement program for the children of our kids of our employees, their children, to help them go to a public school here in Idaho where we pay the tuition.
Boy, that's wonderful.
So we're looking for those long-term relationships with our employees and with our customers. And our purpose at the group is to strive to deliver a best in industry customer experience, to provide high value products and services, and to be easy to buy and easy to do business with. And that's what we're trying to accomplish in these dealerships as we go. And that purpose statement has remained the same. And we've just continued to try to drive that throughout the organization at the front line. So
it really is apparent, and you're after multiple purchases over the course of time. So it's not just a one-time purchase. So the way customers are treated, we've bought several vehicles from you, and it's been a great experience. So again, that kind of comes from from your employees. They know they're there to please us as customers, and you want a customer to come in and shop multiple times over the course of a career
for service and parts, anything automotive related. But it really is the relationship that we're after. And we know that our success, any that we've had, has been given to us by our customers. They're our boss. They're the one person we must please. And in today's environment, where you have, the younger generation who maybe want to do a little more online shopping or spend less time in the dealership, and then we have those people who still want to come in and test drive a number of vehicles. They haven't decided yet. And then maybe you have someone who's maybe my parents' age, who's only buying a car once every 7 or 10 years. They want to come in and drive and then go home and think it over, and so on. So we've got to try to cater to all of those different groups and meet their needs. And it's a little more challenging to make sure that you can, one, find out how they want to buy, and two, give them the experience that they're looking for.
So what did COVID do to the dealership? Did it push a lot more online, or did you see a drop off? Did you see an increase? What happened over the last year?
Boy, it's been a roller coaster.
It has. Oh, it is. As you know, it's been chaotic here, but we've done a good job.
Yes. Well, fortunately, we were deemed to be an essential business, transportation and automotive repair. So we were lucky that way. And our employees' well-being and care, and that of our customers. So we did and followed the protocols and the regulations and recommended mandates. We followed those, and we met our customers how they wanted to meet us. So we did have a lot more purchases where we delivered the vehicles to someone's home. And we did some of that, picked up service and dropped off service. So that was important for a number of customers. But we've really gone through a few cycles. So during the initial, the end of March and the 1st of April, we took a pretty hard hit on traffic. Just people were at the stay-at-home order. So most of them stayed at home. But as April kind of trended out and things loosened up, we got busy, and interest rates are low and trade-in values were high, and people started buying vehicles, and more people were traveling by car and less by airplane and other modes of transportation. So we saw an initial wave of people who were upgrading their vehicles, and then as the stimulus money hit, we saw some additional activity over that. And it's really now that we're seeing the most dramatic impact on the supply chain disruption. And if you've been by our stores lately, you say, wow, they don't have very many cars. And it's a microchip.
Well, okay, so I'm really glad you brought that up. We'll talk about the technology and who we are producing for you, but talk about the supply chain. Because I know that in a lot of different industries, it is getting all of those thousands of pieces that go into in this case, a vehicle that has been challenging.
Well, most of the manufacturers have what's called just-in-time production.
Right.
So they order just the number of parts they need to produce the vehicles as they come through. They don't have big stockpiles sitting in warehouses. So as different countries and different industries have been impacted and shut down, it's had a profound effect on the overall manufacturing. And that's right now, it's a microchip that has many plants around the world idled.
Sure.
There are a few manufacturers that do keep a supply, and those manufacturers have been a little less impacted so far, but everybody's going to be impacted by it.
It is.
Every brand we have.
Yeah. Well, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's kind of like real estate here in Idaho Falls. There just isn't enough inventory. So
yes.
If someone's a realtor, their complaint is I don't have enough inventory. I've got way more customers than we have.
Yeah, and the same thing has happened with the short supply. The used car market is now escalating, and what you generally a vehicle will depreciate every month it gets older and the more miles it gets on it. But now we've actually seen an appreciation in used vehicles. So people have a good pre-owned vehicle, a car they've had for a while, it's worth a lot of money. So that's bringing some people to the market too, because they say, man, I can really get a significant improvement in my trade-in value. And if we can get a vehicle for them that they like, they're trading. So we've really, this last 5 or 6 months, sales have been through the roof. Our group did about 220 million in sales last year across the platform.
Yeah.
And of course, the bulk of that is here in Idaho Falls.
Right.
These stores are our biggest stores, and they've been around the longest.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk a little bit about what we're doing here at CEI. But before we do that, you were talking about YO Tech, and I know you've been connecting with a community college there, and it sounds like they have got really a wonderful program. So let's begin by talking about what you know about them, and this is in Wyoming.
Yeah, it's a kind of a unique technical college that concentrates on diesel, both light and heavy, automotive, and mechanical and body repair. And they have a shortened program they run on that's a 9-month program. It's not in Wyoming. They have eligibility there in the other community colleges where they get some state grants to pay for those. So most of the WyoTech students come from outside of the area, but are mostly from the Pacific Northwest. And they're really focused on getting those students career ready. They have attendance criteria, tardiness criteria. They, of course, are charging a little more than what people can get locally, and they're just producing a good number of people. Now, we have had tremendous success with the graduates we've had from here. Mm-hmm. So we have some very great success stories from that, but we're just not producing enough here. We've got to continue to broaden our circle of where we're recruiting from to get the talent we need.
And we just need more bays for sure. And so being able to produce the kind of graduate that you need is important to us, because you've been a wonderful supporter of us. So what are some things that you saw at WyoTech that you thought would be innovative that maybe we should think about here at CEI?
Well, I think the diversity in the product that they have them working on is significant. So they're sourcing a few more, the small diesel motors. Yeah. Excuse me. In addition to the full size trucks and the large diesel, the number of drivetrains, both hybrid and gas. And, we want to work with you guys to get some more of that product in your program here too, so the students can have the hands-on experience with some of those. But that was there. And then really the testing criteria that gets the person set up for their ASEs when they come out and gets them manufacture ready. I wouldn't say their program is any better than the one we have here. I would say it's different. The time frame is shortened, which is good for the student. They can finish it fairly quickly, and then the number of hours that they spend in the shop and on the product itself, I think is increased over what you see in general.
Yeah. So traditionally, we have a 2-year associate's program, and it probably doesn't need to be that long. And one of the elements I know, whether we're looking at cybersecurity or nursing or those kind of things, it is those industry recognized certifications. So it is the industry telling us what the skill set is, and then how do we provide that skill set to students. I know that's important, and I think as you hire, you probably will look for those industry certifications.
Yeah, we do, and then we assist them getting them. But one of the things is, we talked about the pandemic, and what happened here is it was the heightened skill awareness deficiency. We need technicians in every dealership we have. Every dealership. If you want to be a technician in today's world, but what we've also seen is wage growth in those jobs. So the ability for a student to come out with a 2-year program with a certificate from CEI and earn that $50,000 to $70,000 their first year out is real. It's real.
Sure. No, I know. What a great magnet. into our programs.
And as the skill set improves in a fairly short period of time, I'm talking 24 to 36 months, and with the additional skill set, I mean, they can get in that $75,000 to $85,000 range, and our top technicians are earning $85,000 to $110,000 a year, right here in Idaho Falls and Pocatello. I mean, those are real incomes and real jobs, and the door's open.
So you, again, I'll just reiterate this. You can't get, you've got more demand than you're able to find technicians to fill this.
Absolutely.
What do you think we ought to do with, let's just call it high school students? Because part of this is a long game for you. You've been here a long time and are going to be here for a long time. So as we look into sophomores, juniors, seniors, we've got to entice them into these great family wage jobs. Do you reach out at all to high schools? Is that anything that you do? Do you bring high school students in and inspire them to jobs?
We need to do more of it. We do some. And I think the sooner that someone has it on their radar and sees it as a great career path, and, you know, the schedules have gotten better, the pay has gone up, the opportunity for growth is there for them. So some career progression steps in that career path.
Right.
That, I think, is the story we need to tell those younger students.
Right.
And you know, we're involved in both school districts here, but we need to be more involved, and we need to take more of an active role. And part of it is reaching the parents and helping them see what other opportunities they have in automotive, both on the repair side and the career advancement and development side.
You know, I think that is important. We talk about that all the time, that this is usually a family decision at that age. So mom and dad maybe see their son or daughter, you know, wanting to be an attorney or a doctor, you know, those kind of more traditional roles. But just 2 years at a community college and you've got a path to $70,000 ultimately if you do a good job.
Right. Absolutely.
That's a wonderful story to tell. Plus, I mean, we all know that a lot of kids just want to work with their hands.
Yeah.
And we've got to convince parents that that's a good thing to do.
And there's going to be more and more electronics.
Yeah.
There's going to be more battery technology. There's going to be more computer skills necessary. This evolution of our industry is going to continue to evolve with the person we're recruiting. We need to start talking to them about that now. You know, as they come out of high school and are looking for careers, how do we introduce them to, you know, the electric vehicles, the hybrid vehicles, the newest and latest technology, the things that maybe they'll think are fun and dynamic, you know, in our industry.
Well, there is. I'm glad you brought that up. And we talked a little bit about future tech as in a new building. And we don't have a building like that right now on campus. And you know, we're beginning to open up discussions about that. But within a building like this is the idea of battery technology. We're in an energy sector here, so solar panels are important. We're producing power off the hillsides with you know, with wind turbines, and then microgrids become important, and then all of that stuff can focus in to a vehicle, an electric vehicle, so charging stations and those kind of things. And I think for you, Volkswagen has probably been where you've come out of the gate, but I know Ford has got some. So let's just begin with the technology of electronic vehicles. What are you seeing going on in that?
It's coming at us pretty fast. And one of the things, you know, you hear about autonomous vehicles, self-driving,
Sure.
A lot of those things, that technology is advancing pretty quickly and is going to continue to be a lot of investment is going to be made by the manufacturers on that side of it. But when you're looking at the future, the clean technologies, you know, hydrogen is both Toyota and Honda have hydrogen program in California, and have had it for a number of years, and they've expanded that as they build infrastructure. An expanded hybrid footprint is huge. Ford has a hybrid truck now and has introduced several hybrids. And then the Mach-E is the new Ford EV, and those are out right now. We're selling them. The demand is good.
Well, okay, essentially a Mustang.
Yeah, well, it's an SUV, but it has the Mustang logo on it. But, these electric vehicles produce a lot of torque. They're fun to drive.
Oh, yes.
You know, they're
do.
fun to drive.
Yeah.
They produce a lot of torque. And I think that's one of the things that people think, oh, I've got an electric vehicle, it's going to be underpowered. That's not the case.
Right.
They're very well powered, and I think Ford did it right with that. And they just announced the new Ford truck, the electric vehicle, yesterday. So we were taking orders today. I think we have we have 7 orders at our Ford store already today.
So we've got a 150 from you. So we probably I love EVs. So we'll have to take a look and see how the Ford is working. So what about charging? Is there a big difference between the Volkswagens and maybe the Ford? How does that work?
Well, Volkswagen has helped with a lot of infrastructure and the charging stations on site. So Volkswagen, we have our first Volkswagen electric on the ground now. We've got 2 more coming in the next 12 months.
Good.
So we'll have 3 electric vehicles of Volkswagen. It's pretty exciting, but the range anxiety, I guess, is what it is that people have, is that can I get where I want to go, and how convenient is it? And as this infrastructure builds out, you have more portals to charge at, the more people I think will be interested in them. And that's the thing now, is what's the consumer demand? Some people like it because it's new technology. Some people like it because it's low emissions. Some people like it because they don't have to buy gas and save that, that overall. So there's a variety of reasons people are coming and looking at the electric footprint.
So, especially here for us in Eastern Idaho, electricity is so cheap.
Yes.
So you get a charger in your garage, and if you're not going cross country, it's just cheap.
Yes.
So I imagine with the Volkswagens that if you can find any kind of a charger, I mean, even at a campsite, I guess, an RV charger, I imagine you can plug into almost anything and charge it. It's the speed of charge that you worry about.
The time. Right. That's the biggest thing. How long does it take to get a charge to get me to my ultimate destination, where I'm going to spend the evening or an afternoon where I can get a full charge, a full range charge. And the battery technology has evolved, and it's going to continue to evolve.
How many miles do you think you can get out of most of your new vehicles? What are they?
They're getting in that 200 to 250 mile range now. Yeah. Which for where we live is a good range. Back when it was 115 or 117, a lot of people were nervous about it. But now, I think, even most commuters to the site, or from Pocatello to Idaho Falls, or Idaho Falls to Pocatello, all the Eastern Seaboard, you can get back and forth on a full charge and still have plenty of battery left.
That's the real key. And we're going to see more and more chargers. Just about any hotel of size is going to have chargers on site. I mean, they want to draw that demographic in to stay at the hotel. So plugging in is a good thing.
And places of business will now start to have them as the employees buy more electric. You'll see some installation there. And I really think this next 3 years, 24, 36 months, you'll see a lot of charging ability that doesn't exist right now today, but a lot of it is in the works. A lot of it has already been committed to. There are certain credits given by the government for businesses and related industries to offer charging stations.
So I think, we've talked about this for a while. We probably just need to do it, but I think we ought to just put 3 chargers out there on Hit Road, and open it up to the public. I know it happens at Idaho Falls Power. They've got two nice chargers there. I think we need to do it. And partly we're telling the public that this is an institution that is looking to the future, and
Sure.
electric vehicles are an important part.
Maybe we can partner on something like that.
Well, let's do that. That would be wonderful. I can see Teton Auto Group out there.
Yeah.
We'll put a neon sign and let people charge.
A little placard there.
By the time you measure this stuff, it just isn't worth trying to charge. To charge anyone to charge. I think we just plug it in, and the college uses it as a marketing technique because it is really so inexpensive. So let's talk about that. I would love to do it. What do you think for us with our technicians? Obviously, light diesel and diesel and regular internal combustion, we're doing that. But what are you seeing coming down? What do you need in order to hire an EV technician?
Well, most of the manufacturers are offering, the training to work on those. They've got less moving parts, but they have more computers. Right. So as we get into that, the computer technology will continue to drive, a lot of what we're going to be looking for there. And we're early on. We're just getting our technicians certified right now. Sure. So I think we're going to learn a lot as the footprint increases, but I think we should communicate more and more about what the evolution of that program looks like. Now, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. We have a huge fleet of gas, and then
absolutely, yes.
And then hybrids, which is because electric's getting all the limelight. Many of the manufacturers have gone to hybrid. Just until the battery technology can catch up. So, I'll use Toyota as an example. We now have 11 vehicles that are hybrids. So 11. Wow. So we've got a Sienna van that's a hybrid, the RAV4 hybrid, the Highlander hybrid, of course, the Prius, which is
right.
That
was
game
kind of the
changer.
first out of first out of the gate.
Corolla hybrid, a Camry hybrid. A Tundra hybrid will be coming out here in the fall. So we'll have an all new Tundra with a hybrid drivetrain, and it just goes on and on. So having that technology and that technician, those are the cars they're going to see first, just because they're going to be produced in mass.
Exactly. So that is interesting. Obviously, battery technology. So just the store of electricity is important, and probably not related to what you do, Mario, but certainly related to homes that are putting solar panels up and then capturing that and using it. So we think that that's a wonderful opportunity for our students as well.
Oh, it is. It is for sure.
One of the things I'm not supposed to call it soft skills as we're training. I'm supposed to call it critical skills, but critical skills, of course, would be those things that you expect when you hire someone. They come in on time, they're not on their cell phones. And so what are some of those things that you would like to see from our graduates?
Well, the human contact part of it in our business, and I mean across the board, whether you're working in the office, whether you're in the sales department, a service, or parts, those are becoming more and more necessary and in demand, because many of our young students, and I have a 24-year-old, so I've seen it with him and his friends, is a lot of those niceties, the politeness, are lost with the device. So those skills are going to have to continue to be taught and pushed up. We do have our own internal training program called Magic, Make a Great Impression on Customers, that we teach those skills and we train to those. We work on our phone calls and our human interaction and how to engage people and create empathy and eye contact, and make certain that that's there. And then the social part of it too, is important, being able to interrelate and communicate with people. So I think, speech classes and a number of things that are thought of as old school are more important now and can differentiate and elevate somebody in their career than ever before.
Yeah, so we don't want to turn a student over to you, a graduate that has never heard these things before. It sounds like you pay a lot of attention to that in your business, but we want to turn over someone who is familiar with that and learns those skills as they go to school here.
Well, and a number of our technicians, my service manager, for example, he started out in the Lube Bay, and then he went as a C-Tech, and then he was an expert tech, and then he was a master certified technician, and now he's the service manager of our store, and he does a wonderful job. But transitioning and working with him on those skills, those customer service and relation skills, you never know how you're going to evolve in your career. So having that foundation, that's taught in the classroom and then elevated as people get into business, it's important.
Yeah, no, it is. I'm going to take a 90-degree turn here for a moment. You're an auctioneer.
Yeah.
How on earth does that happen?
Well, I grew up in an auction barn. So I told you about my dad was a welder. Well, my uncle had what was called Flying Deuce Auction in Pocatello. Okay. And it was a weekly auction. And then they did estates and farms and a number of other things, antique auctions. My mom eventually bought that from him. He moved to the Midwest and she bought the store. So I worked there when I was, from the time I was probably 10 or 11 years old. All the way up. She went to auctioneering school. Okay. My mom did, got her certificate.
Yeah, okay, good.
And when she come back, she had her cassette tapes. And she would listen to those, and I always wanted to learn it because I worked there in the auction, and that was the best job to have. The job that I had was the dirty job, passing things out, consignments,
heavy lifting,
end of yard sales, all of that stuff. So it was a Friday night, a weekly auction, and they would put me up at the end of the auction to sell all the last stuff, the junk and the bags of clothes and all of that. And so I did that every Friday night for several years once I had got that. So I was able to develop that skill off of her tapes and books that she had when she went to school. So we started with tongue twisters and then ladders. So, you'd learn a tongue twister, Tommy Atatimus took 2 T's, tied them atop of 2 tall trees. So you get your cadence down, or the big one, the long one, Betty bought some butter, but she said, this butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. So she bought a bit of better butter, put it in her bitter batter, made her bitter batter better. So it was better. Betty bought a bit of better butter. So you learn those tongue twisters, and you work
and the cadence,
and the ladders with the numbers. Sure. So the ladders and how to go up and down quickly and to move that merchandise. So I grew up in that business, and I did it for a number of years, every Friday night. And it's just like school, repetition and learning and practice to do it. So I did that at the family business for a lot of years, and then it's been a great hobby and addition to help with a number of community events. And
I was going to point out, you're kind of an icon at the symphony, so the symphony gala. So you do that, and it's always a treat to see you there. Yeah,
I enjoy it, and the Symphony's a great organization.
It is.
Another one I've been involved with for 15 years. Right after I got to town, we've been involved with them, helping with their mission, the youth programs they have, and it's just a great organization.
Oh, it is. And I haven't seen you literally until this week at the Idaho Falls Arts Council, and you were there. So you've been deeply involved in the community. You literally have been involved in a number of different things. I really appreciate that, and thank you for that. So the symphony, I know you've been working with the Rotary a bit, Idaho Falls Arts Council. Who else are you dealing with?
Involved in the school districts here. We donate a vehicle and have done that for a number of years. And then they are able to sell raffle tickets. They get to keep 100% of the money. We give the car to them, to the
Right.
foundation, and they get all the funds and the proceeds so the kids can use them for their programs, whether it be, academic, athletics, whatever it is. They get to raise their own money. We kind of put it in their hands to be able to raise the money for themselves. And then, winning a car is a pretty big deal.
It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So again, I think you're really giving back to a community that you appreciate, and we appreciate you doing that. So
without this community and the people in it, that's where all of our employees live and work.
Yeah.
It's where our customers live and work. And it's easy to spend money on advertising or a number of things. And I'm not saying you shouldn't advertise, you should.
Right.
But being involved with people, real people, in the things they're passionate about is important for us. And I think it makes it a better place for us to live, for all of us.
It does. And I don't think you're going to disagree with this observation. But for us, if we do a good job with our existing students, they will go out and they are way better than anything we could do in Facebook or YouTube, or try to do some radio ads. There just is nothing better than that, the word of mouth. So doing a good job is just critical.
Yeah, it is.
So the governor was here this week.
Yes.
Well, tell me about that.
Well, he mentioned CEI. From the podium, we were doing the Mountain America Center.
Exactly.
We did the groundbreaking for that, and the governor came down to participate and kick that off. And he talked about the growth of Idaho Falls and southeastern Idaho. Boise gets all of the accolades.
The Kingdom of Ada.
The Kingdom of Ada.
Yep.
And it was nice to have this event center get over the Mountain America Event Center, get over the cusp, and they're starting construction now. So
they are.
Yeah.
And again, Teton Auto Group had given a wonderful gift to them. And I think that put them over
it helped
the threshold, or close
helped.
to the threshold.
Yeah,
So that's wonderful.
Hero Jerky took the arena naming rights at the end, and they gave a significant amount of money to get us there. And there's still opportunities to finish selling some naming rights there, but it gave us enough to get the financing, to get the construction going and the building going, which is exciting for Idaho Falls.
It is, absolutely. Well, Mario, we're coming up on the end of this. This goes really quick.
Yes, it does.
And one of the things I ask each of our guests is to maybe pick 3 or 4 techniques, thoughts, guidance for those of us that are in leadership. And do you have any thoughts for us as to how to be a good leader?
There are a number of things, but I would say one of the things I try when people ask me that is to do what you're doing now better every day. Whatever you're doing now, if you're a student or you're a teacher or you're an educator or you're a salesperson, whatever you're doing, do what you're doing now a little bit better every day. Some people call that Kaizen if you were Japanese, continuous improvement. But do what you're doing now a little bit better every day. The second one I would say that has helped me the most in business is keep your promises, honor your commitments.
Right.
And I was taught that by my grandfather, my dad's dad, when I was very young. It was ingrained in me, and I've used it in my career. Keep your promises and honor your commitments.
Right.
And part of that is when you go to work for someone, you're making a commitment to do a good job for them. And then your promises to yourself, your customers, your family members, that's just such a stalwart in how I think and what I think serves people well, if they can keep that in mind. Set goals and write them down.
It's exactly right.
Very simple. A 3-year, a 5-year, and long term, whatever you consider long term. For young people, long term, maybe 3 years or 5 years, but set those goals and write them down. Don't just talk about them. Don't just think about them and say, this is my goal. Write it down and refer to it when you can. And I think that's helped me tremendously in my business career and my personal life. That's there. And then the last thing I will say is is save 10% of what you earn financially, and it creates a certain amount of confidence. It gives you the ability to make good decisions when you have savings and things for like going to college.
Yeah.
Those opportunities that are for you. So I would just close with that: save 10% of what you earn, and if you start that when you get your first job, when those opportunities create themselves, you'll have the ability to make good decisions and have money that gives you confidence to do what you want to do.
I think those are great challenges. I like the one about goals. I'll just mention this real quick. We may run over a bit, but that's okay. So everybody does strategic planning. So this year at CEI, we decided to do futuring, and it's kind of the same, but in a way it's different. And when we future here, we just go, what does the region look like out in the future? I can't see much beyond 5 years. So much has changed that 3 to 5. Yeah, it's we're kind of dealing in dog years now. So as you look out 3 to 5, what is it this college needs to be? Meaning, what are those jobs? What are those? Who's coming in to the region? What are the employers going to need? So we start with that. So you begin with the end in mind, I guess, in a way. So what's the region going to look like? And we know energy is a big deal.
Huge here.
We know that cyber is big. We know that these hands-on mechanical skills, the trades are important.
Trades are huge.
Where
does the infrastructure come from without the trades?
Well, exactly. And that's this whole idea of the trades and construction. We don't have much of an ability to do that now, but we need to scale into that. So, as you talked about goals, we think about that, and we're going to have a retreat with our trustees. I've kind of kept them up on this a bit, but in about a month, we're going to sit down with them and let them know what we've thought about, and then use some guidance from them as we think about the kinds of things that would make this college relevant.
Yeah, and you have some good trustees.
We have wonderful trustees. Yeah, there is no question about that. Well, Mario, thank you so much. It is always a treat. I don't get to see you very often.
I know it. We need to get together more.
We absolutely do. You are just a wonderful citizen here in Eastern Idaho, and there are a number of people who are employees, a number of people who use your services, and it's great to have a few minutes with you. So thank you.
Thanks for your time.
No, of course. Glad to do that, Mario. So I want to thank you all for watching, and I appreciate some of the insights we've got from Mario. He's got a lot of different experiences, and I appreciate that time. I want to wish you all a great weekend, and again, we're in between classes, so things are a little bit lighter, and again, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.